අයිබෝවන් we the Industrial Development Board of Ceylon conducted successfully completed industrial exhibition from June 22nd to 25th in 2023. In line with that, our chairman Dr. Saranga Alappirma has conceptualized the development of awareness regarding 21 industrial sectors in Sri Lanka. We are delighted to have the collaboration of Professor Roshan Pereira, the chairman of Coconut Development Authority, Sri Lanka. Aiguan sir. Everyone. On behalf of IDB, I warmly welcome you, Professor. With starting this session, I want to explain. Today we are discussing Sri Lankan coconut-based products and institutional approach of Coconut Development Authority. First of all, I want to know about you, sir. What is the role and vision and mission of Coconut Development Authority?
First of all, let me thank Dr. Saranga Alappirma of the Industrial Development Board for inviting me for this occasion, and also it is a great pleasure to sit with you right now, Gayan, and also going through some of these questions. And I can tell you one thing, like Coconut Development Authority is the premier institution that is actually dealing with the industry of the coconut in Sri Lanka. So therefore, we are actually talking about the actually the development in any form when it's come to the coconut will be carried through and also has been carried through in our institution.
Yes, how coconut sector can be the next propeller in the Sri Lankan economy?
Good question, because we are actually going through tough time when it's come to the export market, and also coconut is second largest exporting crop at the moment, and we are having so many different products, and the potential of the coconut is so high with these 150 or so products we are manufacturing in Sri Lanka. So therefore, I personally believe this is the next moment in our agriculture where we can actually get the highest revenue for the Sri Lankan economy through coconut-based products.
Yeah, that's better. How can we tailor make the coconut products for the export-centric global market demand?
So actually, when you look at the global market, there are several trends we have to identify and also understand. And especially we have to tailor make our products to meet the client's demand. So when we look at the global clients, actually they are demanding several products based on the market they are having in the overseas. But what we are at the moment in Sri Lanka producing certain actually end products in a certain ways that may not be necessarily actually useful in the global market. But then again, many products that we are producing, about 40 or so products, we are exporting at the moment. So therefore, we have actually a good trend towards going towards actually for the global market. But the global market, when you want to identify, there are two strategies. One is the blue ocean strategy, the other one is the red ocean strategies. Some of our products actually we are competing in the red ocean strategies where we have a high competition, or the major competition oriented products are there. But then again, we have another strategy called the blue ocean strategy, where we have developed some products that are actually uniquely to our Ceylon coconut, and therefore we have a unique market for it. So this unique market, actually we don't have a competition, and therefore we call it a blue ocean strategy. And that blue ocean strategy market, actually we can make our revenues, or even foreign exchange and the currencies that we can earn through that would be high. And also we can invite our foreign delegates as well as foreign buyers to come and check some of these unique products that we are producing in Sri Lanka for the global market.
Yeah, if there are many competitions raised, what Sri Lankan coconut product manufacturers should do to attract foreign buyers? What are the ways?
Good question. Actually, in order to attract foreign buyers, we should look at our industry in a different way. Meaning, we have to look at the new technologies out there and assimilate them as much as possible in our product preparation. Especially these preparations are used in some other industries. Let's say, we have a cosmetic industry. We are producing certain coconut products for that industry. Then we have to assimilate certain technologies that will be useful in the cosmetic industry as well. So when we are looking at the global trends in the market-oriented, export market-oriented industry, especially coconut-based products, we want to make sure some of these products have the right technology assimilated into it. So therefore, what I see is gradually our industry is moving towards the high-end products right now, and which is again is very suitable for the international market, and therefore we see the potential of using our best quality raw materials. We are resourceful country. We have a lot of resources that are very valuable for the development of many products. So therefore, coconut has been the premier crop. Actually, can produce so many products out there. So we will be hoping that this trend would lead to a major global income generation mechanism for Sri Lanka.
So you mentioned that high technology matters to implement to the industries in Sri Lanka, coconut-based products. So what kind of methods you have applied to that?
Correct. Actually, what we have been doing is, instead of reinventing the wheel, we look at the other possible markets, and we have look at the technologies they have been using, and we are kind of, coming forward with the lot of technology transfers at the moment, and we are doing assimilation into our industry. That technology, this assimilation process is very important uh, for two reasons. One is, to get the high quality product with a good shelf life.
Yeah.
So that will also, second point is to tailor made them according to their requirement. So that way, client or the buyer will be happy at the end with this kind of product development. Otherwise, what will happen is, we have a low end or low technology driven products actually cannot meet the demand of the world market, and that might lead to several issues when we are trying to find the export market. But with the technology assimilation, we find that a high-end market can be approached that has a good value proposition for a manufacturer.
Yeah. How many industrialists do we have in Sri Lanka, coconut-based producing coconut-based products, and uh, how are they involved in this industry?
Actually, a very good question. I'm very proud to say we have about 2,000 good manufacturers doing several different innovative products in Sri Lanka. So, as I told you, about 40 of them are exporting to other countries. So, we are very lucky to have about 2,000 good entrepreneurs actually engaging in this industry. And also, at the same time, when you look at the potential of our entrepreneurs, are quite high. If you can get the right scientific knowledge and the technology know-how, they can produce anything in Sri Lanka. So we are very lucky to have such a innovative entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka. At the same time, we are the resource, as I said, we have the best coconut resource in the world. Why I'm saying this is actually, if you look at the Indonesia or even Philippines, their coconut milk that they can produce from their coconut actually is 30% less than what we can produce. So we produce 30% more of coconut milk from our coconut, and also kernel is thicker and creamier, and also the shell is the best in the world because we prepare good activated carbon for the world market. So we dominate the coconut activated carbon market at the moment, and therefore I'm very proud to say that this coconut shelf-based product or even kernel-based products, and also our cocoa peat and the coya products, all that are actually in the international quality, and that can attract many buyers very easily. And therefore, the potential and also the trend right now is to have more coconuts available for the market. At the moment, we have about 3.3 billion coconuts available. Out of that, only 1 billion, that is about 30%, will be utilized in the industry, and the others, the growth potential is very high because of the other 70% is still underutilized in the industry. So, and also annually we are cultivating a lot of coconuts. So we are every year we get more coconuts into the market because of that trend, the cultivation mechanism. So therefore, what I see is steady growth of the coconut coming to the market and also to the industry.
It is very great pleasure to hear that is we have enough industrialists to produce this product. What is the global trends for this products development, coconut-based industry?
Yes, when we look at the global trend, many of them are now wellness driven. They are looking for good quality, health conscious products. In other words, these products should have uh, high-end, actually good manufacturing processes, meaning cold press technology was introduced by Sri Lanka to the world, and therefore we have been using cold pressing for a very long period in our Ayurveda,
Yeah.
and therefore medicinal aspect, though the wellness aspect of our products have been well established with the coconut, because coconut has been there with these Ayurvedic preparations for thousands of years. So now these are clinically tested and also time tested throughout the period of the Ayurveda we have in Sri Lanka. That could be even more than 2,000 years old.
Yeah.
So therefore, thousands of years that kind of oil that we have produced with coconut has given some medicinal properties to our people in Sri Lanka, right? So therefore, I believe the world can benefit from the Sri Lankan resource of technology what we had in the past, by combining with the modern technologies what we can bring from outside to create new market strategies, especially with the technology driven new product formulations that we can prepare for the world market on the wellness aspect.
So, Professor, as a chairman of Coconut Development Authority, how someone can convince international investor to invest in large scale coconut cultivation? What can you do for them? What can you provide for them? And what is our strength to do that?
Yeah, since we are an island, we have very well established coconut products in Sri Lanka. But somebody to invest in cultivation, you need some other motivations. For example, coconut tree takes some time to grow, but that does not mean they should not cultivate in large uh, plantation models in Sri Lanka. Uh, Meaning, you can do intercropping if you
Yeah.
have the right scientific methodologies which we have developed now. We can utilize those scientific methodologies to do good intercropping. Especially, we have sea rice technology, and also we have about 200,000 hectares of low-lying lands across Sri Lanka, which can actually have even ocean front. And
Yeah.
this they are mostly the lagoon faced or the ocean faced land. So therefore, you can develop cocoa tourism, and also you can develop cocoa industry based related products such as even shrimp farming, and also you can do yeah, sea rice intercropping. Sea rice means actually high salinity. There's a technology you can grow this particular rice that will have a very high yield, and so you will be able to actually have a rice production done with this as intercropping with this coconut cultivation. So that is a very attractive point for a buyer. So in order to an investor to come and actually invest some money in coconut plantation or coconut cultivation in Sri Lanka, they need to have good return.
Yes.
So return on investment, that's what they're looking at, ROI. And then the return on investment can be guaranteed with some of these sea-raised technologies and also cultivation technologies that we have assimilated. And also, again, other things they can do with like coco tourism, as I mentioned, coconut related tourism. When you have a nice canopy next to the ocean, you have a nice coconut breeze that you can find through rice paddy fields coming through. So we will have a very beautiful tourism areas. Tourism resource can be established in Sri Lanka. So that is the investor-centric development that we can expect from the coconut industry.
Do you already develop the mechanism for that?
We have already done the planning for it, and also we are starting now the our north coconut development plan, and north and east both, and we are expecting whole country to be part of this coconut development now. So which is basically the industrial development and another kind of plantation industrial revolution that we want to have in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, thanks to hear. Nice to hear that. Now, why do you say? So why do you say that profit-centric feasibility pattern is required to achieve sustainability of the plantation sector?
Because in any plantation investment, you need to have profit. If you don't have profits, they don't want to invest. As I mentioned, from the day one, from intercropping, they can actually create as a shrimp farming or even some, some ornamental developments or even other cocoa tourism or any form of uh, assimilated and the facilitated model, you will be able to actually get a high profit margin. So that kind of feasibility is required for some investor to come and say, I want to invest some money in this project. So we have done that for on behalf of the investors, and we want them to feel when they are doing this, they make money as a return. So that's why this feasibility should be more like a commercial feasibility that is profit oriented.
If someone willing to invest in these cultivations, and not only from Sri Lanka, from foreign also, what kind of facilities you have developed to them?
Actually, Coconut Development Authority is the sole authority that will deal with the coconut industry development. So when you look at the coconut industries, we have a whole range of products, and also we have assimilated about 520 different technologies from other countries. And what we are expecting is to have a different formulation technologies to all the way to final product assimilation technologies have been done. So basically, we want to make sure our products are universally accepted in the global market, and also is driven to the clients that are actually looking for a particular way of development of a product. Why I'm saying this, actually, when you look at our secondary metabolites and also other wellness related ingredients that we have in coconut, is unbelievably good in Sri Lanka because we have a rich soil in Sri Lanka.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
this soil has given different ingredients to our coconut. So Ceylon coconut is a brand, and that we can be very proud of being a small island.
Yeah.
And therefore, I would say throughout Sri Lanka we can cultivate coconut. At the same time, we have a lot of coconut in Sri Lanka right now, about 1 billion plants at the moment, trees. So therefore, we are hoping to have more industry developments in related to coconuts. As I said, about 30% only is being used in the industry at the moment, and also 70% is still out there. So we want to make sure our industry is developed from coconut much more, in the more important sense.
Uh, as in this situation, what is the future for the coconut industry in Sri Lanka?
I think it's very bright. The thing about coconut is, you can make so many products. As I mentioned, you with the formulation technologies and all that, we have about 520 technologies that we can actually develop from coconut, and that itself is actually a trend that we can look into the future of the coconut, and the potential out there. So therefore, I mean, by looking at different markets like American market and all that, what I see lately, they are in their preparation, especially their cosmetic preparations to their even medicinal preparation, like we use in our Ayurveda thousands of years.
Yeah.
They are now using coconut oil. So coconut oil has become even their shampoo ingredients to all the way to their health ingredient. So therefore, I believe with the coconut, the the world is for you to grab, and therefore world market is the key for us to actually get the foreign revenues, and also the investor to look at this as a crop that they can rely on, especially with the market trend is going towards that way. So even American market, as I mentioned, is going towards that way. So therefore, we have a good potential out there.
Then, what is the new industrial strategy we can employ in coconut industry?
Good question, because the main several issues we face in our local industry is the our progress with the technology assimilations. We need to speed up. The reason is, if you have a slow progression of the technology assimilation, we have problem with the global market and the global demand. What they're looking at in the sense of making a good end product, right? So therefore, technology assimilation is a important factor in new strategies when you are develop the industry, especially in the coconut related products. So now, by looking at the overall market trend, Sri Lanka has the resources, but then again, if you don't assimilate the right technologies, what we are having is low-end products, right? So what we want to do is bring the investments in, and then with the local technologies and local whatever traditional techniques we have, we want to blend them into a unique fusion product that will have a global market in a blue ocean strategies I was talking about earlier. So with that kind of trend, you will be able to approach the global market in a much more what you call commercially feasibly driven model, right? So that is very important, I believe, for an investor as well as for the local manufacturer to combine to have a product for the world market.
Yeah, thanks. Those things are contributed this industry. What are the factors that govern the robust industrial transformation for the export-oriented industry?
See, Sri Lanka is looking for export-oriented industry mainly because of the economic crisis that we are facing right now. So therefore, we want to see the in export industry, especially uh, absorbing the right technology, and also going towards the product development in that aspect by looking at the supply demand chain uh, globally. So by actually looking at these trends, what I can see is the importance of the actually client-based tailor-made products from Sri Lanka. So the importance of manufacturing them. So this factor actually, when you couple with the certain market trends, especially with regard to the let's say we want to have different formulation technologies, and also different shelf life stabilization technologies, or different preservatives we want to use, and all that has to be assimilated towards the client-based product development. Then again, by saying all this stuff, what I can say is we have good resources in Sri Lanka, and coconut has been I think, the leading crop with the highest potential of achieving most export-driven products from Sri Lanka. I'm hoping that Sri Lanka will actually benefit from coconut industry much more.
Yes. Today we are discussing with the chairman of Coconut Development Authority, Professor Roshan Pereira. Ending this session, I would like to ask the final word for the world to deliver from you as a chairman of Coconut Development Authority. So, what would you like to tell them?
Yes, actually, coconut is the product actually, in my opinion, uh, all the investors can look into. The reason is right now the global demand is very high and the market potential what we see is very high. So I want to invite international investors to come to Sri Lanka and invest in coconut industry and come with our manufacturers and make new products for the global market. With your technologies, with your innovations, you can come to Sri Lanka and we are very happy to provide you the necessary facilities through Coconut Development Authority. And as the chairman of the Coconut Development Authority, my aim is to actually develop industry based on the knowledge and the know-how that you all are bringing in, and we facilitate from our side all necessary requirements for you to succeed in Sri Lanka as a true investor coming to Sri Lanka.
Okay, Professor, thank you very much for participating with this event, with this session. I'm glad to thank you for participating in this. Thank you very much again and
Thank
have
you.
a nice day.
Thank you, Gayan. Thank you.